Speaker, at this point, would it be better to pass a map and file something in front of the court to stop, to get some definitive answer here?
I don't think we're going to be in any court except a federal court. And I happen to have some personal knowledge of the alacrity of the federal courts. And I don't see them speeding this thing up, frankly. I think there will be considerable time used if that's how we have to go. And it may end up that way. But we have done all the calculations based upon time projections, and we still have time to have a bill that reflects an extraordinary majority of the legislature.
What's your deadline? You have until December 7th, till the filing deadline?
That'll be a new filing deadline. We'll repeal the existing filing deadline.
For a March primary, you have to do December 7th, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Symbolically, Pearl Harbor Day. Yeah.
Have you shown this new map to members of the congressional delegation, specifically Speaker Boehner? Have they weighed in on what you're doing here with this one?
I don't communicate directly with Speaker Boehner. Thank God he has something to do besides what I've been doing for the last 2 months. But there are congressmen obviously assigned to keep track of these things down there. And I presume ultimately he receives that information. John and I have been very good friends for a long time, and I called him the day he was sworn in as Speaker of the House, which was an exciting day for me. And I said, John, I'd like to know who would represent you, maybe someone from Butler County, or how would you want to do that? Bill, he said, I don't think I want to know too much about it. But obviously, he knows what's going on. This is, after all, his delegation. He's not the dean of the delegation. When you have the speaker, then he's not the dean. Actually, it's Steve LaTourette from Northeast.
Have Democrats made a counteroffer to your map, your new map?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The Democrats with whom I have been working have been very open, and I'm not obviously going to reveal that because that's a matter of negotiation at this time.
In Hamilton County, you really didn't make much of a change.
No, no.
Why not make more of a change to, say, improve the African American vote in a district, i.e. Steve Chavez's district seems the most likely?
Well, Steve is now in 2 counties heavily, and we couldn't get the kind of numbers you'd be talking about.
Representative Kucinich has been trying to actually advocate for the previous map, which he says it treats him better. Have you talked to him at all, or?
No, Dennis and I have been friends a long time. I was the youngest member of this House, and he was the youngest mayor of Cleveland contemporaneously. We used to visit on the phone about how badly we were being treated. And so, actually, that wasn't my case. That was his case. Something to do with the Cleveland Trust. But no, we've not talked.
Does this map add Toledo precincts that might be favored?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
So it could
and
be.
I have no idea where it is that Dennis would start to lose and the person from Lucas would pick up. That's always a little bit mysterious. I think Dennis might be really well known vis-a-vis anybody else up in Northeast Ohio, except maybe Mayor Jackson.
Speaker, if you can't come to an agreement with the Democrats on an acceptable map to both sides, what happens then?
At that time, we would probably have to pass a 90-day effective piece of legislation, which would probably not be as fair as this. I have a lot of members who wonder how come we won, and we're still reaching out constantly to try to work something out.
So we just have like a map that's good for a quarter of a year?
Oh, no. Well, it has to be permanent. We're trying to have an extraordinary majority so we can get the
Right.
thing fired up and done and out
Oh, I
of here.
see.
So at a certain point, I've got to quit. And then we would have to pass a more partisan map. Because my members, if they're going to be the only ones that vote for it, would want to be in that position. And again, that does not include Congresswoman Fudge's district. It's not up. It's subject to the Federal Voting Rights Act.
Are you basically suggesting, and you talked previously about having limits as to how far you can go, say, up in the city of Toledo and so on. Is this essentially the best map that you're going to be able to offer, and that if Democrats don't sign on, things are going to get worse pretty quickly?
I'm trying to find out what it is that they're looking for. I know what we're looking for, and if we can bring that together closer, then we'd be in a position to do so.
So you're open to amending this, tweaking this through amendments
We certainly have.
to a certain extent, right?
Got time for one more question.
Absolutely. That's what we've been doing right along. We've been working back and forth, and of course, some of the Columbus district was, I think, 26 points when we started with it. It's now 29 points Afro-American. In other words, it's getting more like a district that could be won by an African American. For the first time, Ohio would have two districts that would be potentially black districts.
If you are unable to get Democratic support and you do move ahead with a more partisan map, there are going to be those out there that say you're just doing this to mess with the referendum process, to take away some opportunities they have to gather signatures. How do you respond to that criticism?
Well, very briefly, obviously, that's not what we're trying to do, because we have had meaningful, real negotiations back and forth. I would prefer to have a nonpartisan map. They're all partisan. I don't know why I use a dumb word like that, but I would prefer to have that kind of thing, and that requires somebody to come to us. We had a offer made this morning to us by some people whom I hold in high regard. I'm not sure. We've just started analyzing that, running it through the computer and so forth, but we will continue to visit with those people. And we probably can't negotiate with anybody that thinks that the state's 50-50 Democrat.
Speaker, just unclear, the second, if there's no deal and you pass another map, would that be a permanent map, or is this something you would give to the court in lieu because the other map has been referendum and the court would be looking for an alternative for 2012?
I think it would be very helpful, as a former judge, I think it would be very helpful to have somebody have duality of maps. At this point, we have only the maps that we've produced.
Well, I guess that's what I'm trying to understand. Would this be something that would thwart the referendum, or is this something that would give the judge another option?
I don't know what effect it'll have on the referendum. I'm not an expert on that there or in any other party, but what I foresee here is continued negotiation based on this, and yes, it would very definitely be instructive to a judge hearing it. That, you know, judges only have in front of them what the people bring to them. They're not allowed to read other stuff. They're not allowed to talk to other witnesses. So, yeah, we're preparing for the thing which the Democrat chairman said was, if Republicans don't negotiate fairer maps, the federal court could create a new map, or the state could elect 16 at large, which is not the law. But that's where we're going to end up. We'll have the privilege of having somebody from Tennessee tell us what Ohio's district should look like.
So, but the judge could order at large. Could a judge order, instead of drawing a map, order at large for?
The federal Supreme Court has spoken to that.
Okay.
And the answer is no.
It sounds like this map, whether it comes to a vote today or not, or tomorrow or not, is a bridge to a third map, one way or the other.
I've got to confess I have not gone over this with the distinguished President of the Senate, so I'm not sure what they might do. I know what we're doing, and I'd have to say with up to this point singular lack of total success, we, however, have gone through, as I set forth, we have really gone through a bunch of changes predicated upon the views of other folks, not in our caucus.
Thank you, everyone.